develop our indigenous technology, as they are really proud of how much indigenous content was available. In fact, this is the first time that Ajit Doval is speaking after Operation Sindoor, going on to say that India had targeted 9 terrorist targets in Pakistan, and it was not in the border areas. This was deep within Pakistan, and India hit nowhere else except these precise points. Listen in to what he said about the precise operation that took place in 23 minutes.
We have to develop our indigenous technology. Mention was made here of Sindhu. We are really proud of it, not for necessarily what people perceive. That how much of an indigenous content was there. We are proud of it, that some of the best systems that worked. We decided to have 9 terrorist targets in the crisscross of Pakistan. It was not on the border area or something. We missed none. It was precise to the point where we knew who is where. Entire operation was started at 5 minutes past 1 and was over at 28 minutes past 1.
My colleague Rishabh is joining us on the broadcast with the details. And Rishabh, this is for the first time that the NSA is speaking on Operation Sindoor, and he spoke about how the terror hubs were decimated in the precision strikes by India.
Well, Pratibha, good afternoon. Yes, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval has now spoken, and he has in a way very clearly cleared the clouds over all the doubts that were being casted on Operation Sindoor. He was very clear that how he, as National Security Advisor, was very proud of how within 23 minutes, 9 terror locations were decimated by Indian forces using indigenously developed technology. You know, be it BrahMos, be it Akash Tir system for air defense, or others which were used. The communication system which was indigenously developed was also used during Operation Sindoor, and NSA Ajit Doval says that he was proud of it. He goes on to say that how technology is something that we need to work upon by the time India will be celebrating its 100th Independence Day. How Indian economy would be 8 times what it is today, which is about 32 trillion.
And he also made a mention of how the West was looking at it, on how in the Western media they spoke about a certain propaganda which was busted. He also spoke about how there was no proof of any damage that was done on the Indian side. I request you to stay with us as Lieutenant General Asid Mistry is on the broadcast with us. Thank you for joining us, Lieutenant General. What are the highlights from what the NSA has said? He has spoken about how indigenous technology helped India. He has spoken about how India decimated the terror hubs in 23 minutes, while also speaking about the Western propaganda over the entire issue.
Yes, he was very categorical, and he's only reinforced what has been well known to all the professionals, that Operation Sindoor was a great success, and that we achieved the objectives that we had laid down for ourselves. On the contrary, Pakistan could not make any kind of dent in our air defense shield, which proves that we have achieved our aims, and therefore at our terms, we decided to suspend the hostilities. The operation also proves the success of the Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India program. Most of the systems that were used were either indigenously developed or at least indigenously productionized. And we have to look at long term that we need to continue to build up this kind of capability so that when required, we are able to give a very meaningful, kind of lesson to Pakistan should they kind of repeat what they did at Pahalgam and other such dastardly acts that they have been known for.
Okay, all right. Lieutenant General, thank you for joining us. In fact, we also have foreign policy expert Adit Kothari on the broadcast with us. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Kothari, from the statements that the NSA has said, he has spoken about the indigenous technology that helped India, while also making it very clear What India was targeting was the terror bases. Precision strikes in 23 minutes, and all of these areas have been decimated deep inside Pakistan.
That's correct. I think it should be important for the world and for everybody to take cognizance of, especially the Western media, which has been beating around the DG-ISPR narrative. 23 minutes is where we targeted them and we dismantled 9 of the air bases, leaving their GM coming to beg and, asking for a that is, at the end of the day, we shouldn't fall into the DG-ISPR narrative, which most of the opposition in India sadly are indulging in, and Western media narrative is. If we want to look at it in grand perspective, the Indus Water Treaty is what we should be celebrating, the abeyance of the Indus Water Treaty. Since 1960s, we've had this Indus Water Treaty where we've been held hostage by the Pakistani government to say that, you give us water, we will ensure terrorism is or controlled, etc., which has never been the case. This is the first time we've taken a step towards ensuring that, we are taking accountability for terrorism. So this sort of cowardness, this sort of grossly delusional policy by the Pakistanis to use asymmetrical warfare cannot be tolerated anymore. And that's precisely what the NSA is talking about, that the messaging sent out extremely
Okay, all right. Thank you for joining us with your perspective, Mr. Kothari. And Rishabh, the foreign policy experts also speaking about how this is significant because in the opposition as well, there were many who were questioning and taking up what the Western media had been talking about. And the Western media claimed that there was damage to the Indian side. But there's one there that has been given by the NSA. Show me one picture that shows any damage to the Indian side.
Well, very clearly, a confident national security advisor has challenged the Western media that show me one imagery or one photograph that showcases India's damage, the damage that India has incurred during Operation Sindoor. He goes on to say that how we attacked about 13 of their air bases. He goes on to talk about Rahim Yar Khan. He goes on to talk about others. He also mentions Chaklala, which is the Noor Khan airbase. Old spy, old habits, old names. So he also mentions Chaklala and other places as well, and shows that it says that how India put forward the imagery proof, the video proof, the audio proof, and it is all over open intelligence sources as well that are now very categorically showcasing that how India hit them really hard. But there hasn't been any picture that has come out that showcases that it is, it was Pakistan who has hit India as they were claiming, and no such picture has come out. And now NSA has officially said this on a public platform, National Security Advisor of India,
yes,
challenging the world that show us one photograph where India was hit.
Okay, all right. In fact, let's listen into what the NSA has said. Remember, he's speaking for the very first time in public about Operation Sindoor, and here's what he said.
We have to develop our indigenous technology. Mention was made here of Sindoor. We are really proud of it, not for necessarily what people perceive. That how much of an indigenous content was there. We are proud of it, that some of the best systems that worked. We decided to have 9 terrorist targets in the crisscross of Pakistan. It was not on the border area or something. We missed none. It was precise to the point where we knew who is where. Entire operation was started at 5 minutes past 1 and was over at 28 minutes past 1.
All right, Rishabh, thank you for joining us with those details. Of course, political reactions also expected on that because the NSA has very clearly said if there is any claim that is made in the Western media, then where is the proof for it? But with that,